Well, as the European Union copes with the United Kingdom's decision to leave, some of its member states are looking at their own relationship within the bloc. Croatia was the last country to join, but only 3 years later, the shine is wearing off. The economy is stagnant, unemployment is high, and its once thriving domestic industries are struggling. Soraya Leni takes a closer look at the state of affairs from the Croatian capital, Zagreb.
This is a place where heartbreak is preserved. The Museum of Broken Relationships in Zagreb. Trinkets of scandal, loss and love line its rooms.
We came up with the idea at the moment we were breaking up, so it was kind of really simple and it made a lot of sense at the time for us because we were thinking how to create a space for people to be able to get rid of these objects that remind them of something that's been broken.
But as those here ponder their private state of affairs, their country has its own love-hate relationship, that with the European Union.
We were, not willing to accept that we share something with the people of the Balkans. At the same time, we were not part of the European Union. That was a schizophrenic situation. You were isolated in a very different, peculiar way. That's over now, thanks to the European Union.
To join in 2013, Croatia had to shed its public baggage. It privatized industries and thousands lost their jobs. At the time Croatia held the vote to join the European Union, voter apathy was actually quite high. Even though 66% of those who voted said yes to joining the EU, only 44% of those eligible to cast ballots actually did. Former Prime Minister Jadranka Kosor led her country into the Union.
Since we joined the EU, we reformed the judiciary system and started tackling corruption in the government. But nowadays, my impression is that other reforms have stalled. You can barely hear any politicians talking about rooting out corruption anymore.
Many now complain that the promise of EU glory was empty, that Croatia is treated as a second-tier member.
People thought the process of joining the EU would fix all the country's problems, but it hasn't. I think the political leadership at the time failed to negotiate better terms of accession.
Back at the museum, it seems that despite the ups and downs, Croatians are determined to make it work, rather than follow the example of the UK. Soraya Leni, TRT World, Zagreb.
Joining me now for more on this is Zdeslav Santic. He's chief economist at Splitska Bank, joining me live in Zagreb. Many thanks for joining us, Zdeslav. How optimistic are you about Croatia's economy? Because if you look at the numbers, it doesn't look great.
Yes, I fully agree. Also, we have to take into account that Croatia is one of the worst hit EU economies from the global financial crisis that happened in 2009. Just to remind you that for 6 consecutive years we had a really sharp decrease of domestic economy, where GDP contracted by more than 12% in real terms. Also, what is even the key problem for Croatian economy is the dynamics and the level of the public debt that increased for around 35% in 2008 to above 85% according to the latest figures. Also, we have to mention that in 2015 and also so far in 2016, economic activity was definitely higher and beat all expectations on domestic market. So in 2015 we had quite solid growth, and also there was some improvements regarding the trends in the public finance. However, we have to say that the focus of investors and also the rating agencies recently shifted from economic to political risks. And this is the reason why Croatia still has a quite high risk premium despite some improvements.
Zdeslav Santic, many thanks for your time joining us there from Zagreb.